It's your first pre-match show of the 25-26 Championship season. Southampton take on Wrexham tomorrow. I'm going to be previewing all of that in today's show. I've got a packed half an hour or so coming your way because I've got a special guest or two joining me in this broadcast. Welcome along. If you're new to the channel, and if you are new, please do subscribe to the channel and get involved in the comments box below, because I'd love to get all your opinions ahead of the new season, which kicks off this evening as Birmingham City host Ipswich Town in the first game of the Championship campaign. And then all eyes will be on Southampton tomorrow at the St Mary's Stadium as Hollywood visit the South Coast. So, who is on today's show? We have a Wrexham podcaster because Andy from the Fearless in Devotion podcast is going to be joining me and giving me an insight into all things Wrexham. It's great to get fans on from other podcasts, content creators, to get an insight into what is happening at that club. They know it better than anyone. I don't know enough of what's going on this summer, but Andy will give us that insight into all things Wrexham. Like I said, Football Dad's going to be joining me as well. We're going to be taking a trip down memory lane and looking back at the last meeting between the two clubs. Well, Southampton, they've yo-yoed, haven't they, between divisions over the last couple of years, whilst Wrexham, they're riding a hell of a wave right now. Since Ryan Reynolds and Rob McElhenney took over at Wrexham, they are absolutely flying. 2 back-to-back promotions, and they're a championship club, and they know how to win games of football. They've got that winning feeling, as where we, Southampton, we don't have that winning feeling. We only won 2 games in the league all season last year, and Will Steele has a bit of a job on his hands. I've got all the reaction from the press conference coming your way as well, and I do have a bit of team news in this show. The last league encounter between the two clubs was way back in 1960, and the most recent meeting between the two clubs came in the 1979-1980 League Cup, where the Welsh club lost over 2 legs, 8-0. Things are very, very different now, though. The two sides face off in the Championship tomorrow. And like I said, Wrexham do have that winning feeling. Not only do they have that winning feeling, they've made some good signings in this summer's window. We're going to find out a bit more about that with Andy from the Fearless in Devotion podcast. But last week, they signed Kiefer Moore, which I think is a very, very good signing. Connor Cody the week before. So Phil Parkinson has been really, really busy. And we're going to get a really good insight from Andy, because he will tell you the way that Wrexham like to play football. And I was quite surprised by chatting to him how he thinks they're going to approach this Championship campaign. Well, Wrexham, they've had an interesting pre-season because they went down under to Australia, where they had several games. I've followed it on the Ben Foster podcast on the Cycling GK, and if you get a chance to check it out, it's well worth a look. He did some vlogging around some of the games. He had some access to all of their fixtures. They played Melbourne Victory, I saw in one game, where they got beat 3-0. They went on and played Wellington Phoenix. That was a week or so ago, and I believe they lost that one as well. But he didn't really feel that they've massively been tested over pre-season, which was interesting. You'll find out more about that in the interview that is coming up very, very shortly. And on the other side of that interview, we will get all the team news ahead of the game tomorrow from a Southampton perspective. But I want to get your score predictions as well. Get them in the comments box below. I'm going to bring in Andy now and a little bit of an insight into Wrexham and their summer so far. Now we come to our guest, Andy, who is here from the Fearless in Devotion Wrexham AFC podcast. Delighted to have Andy here with us on the show today to give us a little bit more of an insight into what's been happening at Wrexham. We'll look ahead to the game at the weekend very shortly. But Andy, first and foremost, congratulations on promotion to the Championship. You must be so excited going into this season.
Yeah, well, thanks for the congratulations. I think my part in it was pretty minimal, but it was, look, we've never been this high in my lifetime. And a lot of the older fans talk about our days in League, well, Division 2 as it was back then. It's like halcyon days. And I think we managed to get 4th once in the 70s, and that's the highest the club has ever been. And I think we stayed there for a couple of weeks and then dropped down the table and eventually got relegated a few years after. But that's everyone points to that 78, 70, 79 team as sort of the epiphany of how good Wrexham were, and we've never ever got close to it again. So it's quite nice to have a chance to go even higher if possible.
It's quite the rise, isn't it? You see what Wrexham have done over the last few years. It's been great. It's been a great story, isn't it? Everybody can watch it through the documentary that's gone out. It's been brilliant to watch. What's been the highlight so far for you?
I think getting out of the non-league, it's the promotion I most enjoyed. It's 15 years of real pain there, where every time we got close, we'd either lose a manager to a bigger club or something like we'd lose a striker. Like I think it went through 6 seasons where we always sold our top scorer at the end of the season. And in non-league, it's quite hard to get out unless you've got a bit of money. So even though we were quite a well-supported club and we were fans owned, there was always someone who wanted to make a bit of a name for themselves, like Andy Pilley at Fleetwood or Dale Vince at Forest Green Rovers, who put a lot more cash than we could towards it. And it didn't really matter how good our squad was. We were just getting pipped to the post because we just didn't have enough money as a fans-owned club to really push on. We were unlucky a few times, but there was one season where we got 98 points and still didn't get promoted. So it was tough to get out of that league. Was a highlight. Anything else from that has been a bonus.
Yeah, they've just continued to build on it and build on it and build on it. It hasn't. It can't all just be about money. Everybody talked about it being money, but you have to have the right people. You have to bring the right people in, and they've certainly done that, haven't they, Wrexham?
I think so. I mean, if you look what Ryan and Rob said at the beginning, they said, look, we don't know anything about football. We're going to stay completely out of that.
Yeah.
We're going to let football people. So they brought Sean Harvey in, who's quite a divisive character, but has been great for us. Les Reed, who was technical director at the FA, has come in and helped us with
He was at Southampton
players
as well. Les Reed was at Saints.
Yeah. So they've got the right sort of people in. And I think a lot of credit does have to go to Phil Parkinson, because it's hard to have this amount of expectation, to have the cameras round, to have a revolving door of players really and make it work. But he's made it work through having a very good team morale. And I think that's the key thing that's helped us through the leagues, getting the right people in. He says he's got a dickhead test. So he will talk to players and try and engage them before they even come into the club. And he doesn't want people who are going to rock the boat. And, we've got some players who are pretty ego-driven and, arrogance and stuff like that. But it doesn't really overstep the mark. And I think they complement each other. And I think they all know they're in it together. What does help is every time they get promoted, they get a trip to Vegas. So I think that's probably good for team bonding.
This season it's obviously going to be a lot harder than what it has been. It's going to be the hardest season yet, but already it was a quiet start to the window, I thought, with Wrexham, but as the weeks have progressed, things have progressed in terms of players incoming, and they've actually done some really good business. I was looking at it yesterday. Talk to us about the transfer business. For anybody looking in that doesn't know a great deal, let everybody know what have you brought in so far.
I think we're on 7 or maybe 8 at the moment. We brought Ryan Hardy in from Plymouth, who
great signing, brilliant business.
Yeah, I mean, it was 700 grand as well. I think he had a clause in his contract, but we needed people who have experience of playing Championship. Now, what I thought was they were going to do, I thought they were going to go for a lot of older Premier League players and have one big go of getting up. And I don't know if you remember, Portsmouth did it under Redknapp. Maybe about 20 years ago, when they brought the likes of Merson in. They had quite a few people who were probably having their last hurrah, but it worked for that season and it got them up. And I thought, well, maybe if you want to keep this upward trajectory, that's what you would do. But what he has done has gone for people late 20s, maybe early 30s, Championship experience, who have the legs to do this over a couple of years rather than just have one big push. So I've been pleased with that. We brought Danny Ward in from Leicester, who I know is much maligned by their fans, but really and truly, this is a chance for him to prove himself. He's got a chance to be a first choice keeper. He's a Welsh international. He started at Wrexham. He's always loved the club. and so it's nice to bring him in. We brought a lad in called Liberato Cacace from Empoli, who I must admit took us all by surprise. I don't think anyone would call that, but he's
a big signing because a lot of clubs were in for him, weren't they, as well?
Yeah. I think he turned down another Serie A club to come to us because he liked the project, and he's an untapped potential. I don't know how far he could go, but it's really nailed the left side for us. Other people we brought in are Connor Cody, who's an experienced ex-England international,
great leader as well, really good in the dressing room,
good talker. My problem with Connor is he's not the physical beast of a centre half. He's a good player, and he'll have two young lads either side of him. So I'm interested to see how that dynamic works. I do wonder if we might get bullied, especially a bit aerially as well. But Connor's a good talker, and he can only bring the two lads either side of him on. We bought George Thomason from Bolton for 1.2 million. He's their captain. I don't know if he's going to be first choice for us, but he really helps the squad. We brought in Josh Windass on a free. I mean, I think he's
shrewd signing, wasn't he? Free agent, contract torn up at Sheffield Wednesday as well, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So,
it's
like a no-brainer of a signing, really, isn't it?
It probably cost about 6-7 million if you wanted to buy him from Sheffield Wednesday, even at his age. So to get him in on a free, I think was a good bit of business. I do sort of wonder where he'll play, whether we'll have him in the attacking midfield row or just off the striker. So Kiefer Moore is going to sign. It's not been officially announced yet. Same with Nathan Broadhead, I think. I wonder if they're waiting to do a double signing on.
Yeah, two big signings that would be. Broadhead's a good player. I've watched him a lot at Ipswich. He's a tidy player. A player that can create. He's got a bit about him. Both the players know the league, don't they? That's the beauty of it.
I think so, and I think that's what Parkinson really wanted. Now, Kiefer Moore is another Welsh international who will be very popular at the racecourse. He's 32, but he's got the chance to come off the bench and help us with a game. I mean, I think the good thing about Parkinson is he's looked at what's been successful, and now he's bought players in the same role who are better than what he had last season. And he's done that.
Upgrading. It's all that little upgrades, isn't it?
He's not going to throw away what's been successful for us. He's just going to upgrade what we've got with better players and see if it works again. And it's a system that's worked for us. Now, I mean, what I would say, our style is very direct. It's always been direct. Phil is he's 3-5-2 all the time, and it's quick possession. It's closing down. It's getting the ball. It's getting it forward. Now that might take the championship by surprise for the first. It's a bit old school, but I wonder if teams will work it out eventually, and that might be where we struggle.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see. Do you think Broadhead could be in for the weekend? Are the two signings, are they likely to potentially become available for Saturday, do you think, for the game against Southampton?
I would say that they'll try and get them done by then. I know Moore's done because he's been spotted taking selfies with fans in a Wrexham kit. I wonder why they've not announced it, and I think they want a double announcement with Broadhead. Broadhead's dad's just put on Facebook a montage of him at Wrexham at 12 and now full circle. So I'd say that's pretty much done as well.
Yeah, so that'd be interesting to see how the team lineup looks at the weekend.
Oh, I have no idea how that team. No, the thing is with Parkinson,
a lot of new signings, isn't it? A lot of new players coming in. It's hard, isn't it? It's even for us. It's hard to know, isn't it, what your 11's going to look like when the window's still open. Your players coming in, players going out. There's going to be movement for weeks, isn't there now?
Yeah. Parkinson's got this thing where if he makes a new signing, even a record signing, he'll wait a couple of weeks, maybe months in cases before he really beds them into the team. I don't think he can really do that because if you brought so much quality in, you can't leave it on the bench or not even in the squad. So even though there's 7 players, I would say a lot of them would get in pretty soon. I think we're undercooked though, to be honest, Martin. I think the tour that we've had to Australia and New Zealand, I'm not really sure the quality was there to really test us. And since then, we've had one behind closed closed doors match and a match away at Groningen where we played two different teams. I would have liked to have seen us the week before have tough opposition with our first choice.
We played Brighton and Hove Albion on the weekend. It was tough. No, it was a really tough game. Technically they're good, mid-table, top sort of 8 Premier League side, aren't they? And it was a real test. But up until then, we played Espanyol actually over in Spain the week before. I did follow a little bit of Wrexham's tour via Ben Foster's Cycling GK vlogs that he was doing. So it did give you a little bit of an insight into what was going on. But there was an absolute the amount of people that were following the club and wanted a glimpse of Wrexham overseas was insane.
Yeah, and we've had that in the US as well. I think the documentary it's so well made. It's got Hollywood sort of pizzazz, but to be honest, it focuses on real people and real stories. And I think Americans have taken it to it because their sports stars are completely untouchable. They earn millions upon millions. You get to see a bit of their life on Instagram, but our guys are relatable. I think one in the first series, you could see our keeper drywalling his cellar, and I don't think LeBron James would be doing that. So it's the whole thing about the players and the fans. It's a bit more relatable, and I think that's why it's been such a hit in places like North America and Australia.
Yeah, that has been a hit. As you look towards this season, championship campaign, what's your expectations? How do you feel? Where do you feel you can finish? What could this season hold?
Well, if the Broadhead and more signings do go through, I think it's quite a well-balanced squad. I think there's room for loans as well. And I think we'll have to shift a lot of people out. So it's going to be quite a large squad for a while. I thought League One was going to be incredibly tough, and I had us just outside the playoffs, but it was a lot easier than I expected. And even though I think the Championship is going to be extremely tough, look, we keep defying my predictions. I'd love us. I don't think we'll get relegated. I think.
No, I don't think.
No. I think
Wednesday. I think all
and
three
Hull,
that come up would be fine.
Yeah, I think Wednesday and Hull it looks pretty ominous for them. I think we're a better side than Charlton, so I wouldn't see us being relegated. I would say anything 14th to just outside the playoffs.
Yeah, no, I think you'll be absolutely fine this season.
Yeah.
If there's one player to watch at the weekend, we're Southampton fans will be tuning in to this pre-match show, and they'll be asking the question: who do we need to look out for at the weekend from the squad that you had last season? Players that were tops for you that could really cause Saints problems at the weekend.
There's a lot of unknowns, as in who will play, who's come in, who's really gonna cause problems. I would say from the last year's squad, it's a defender actually, so it's not an out-and-out threat. But Max Kluivert is a youngster who came through. He's about 23 years old, and he's played from the conference now in the Championship, and he just gets better and better. He gets better and better each year. He learns. If he makes a mistake, he doesn't make that mistake again. I think there's been some interest in Villa for him, but he's one that we've got high hopes for. If anyone could play in all the divisions with us, I think Max definitely could. So he's solid. He's pretty quick. He reads the game well, and at 23, he's only going to get better.
Yeah, it's nice to have that opportunity to play against a relegated club in, say, Southampton this coming weekend, and Saints have got a lot of work to do in the window. Do you feel it's a good time to play Southampton with uncertainty certainly around the likes of Tyler Dibbling, Mateus Fernandes? There's a probably a good time to play us, to be quite honest.
Yeah, my mate works an Everton fan, and I'm desperate for them to do that deal before. But if he could do it Friday, that would be great, because it won't give you any time to get someone in. But he's a cracking player.
He's a good player, very good player.
It's hard because you're a relegated Premier League side. It's it's going to be a very, very tough game for us. But we're going in there with not much expectation. But there's a lot more expectation on you than there is on us as we find our feet. As we find our feet. So maybe we could surprise you. I'd love if we could get a draw from it. We went away to Bolton last season, second game of the season, and it was hard to really gauge where we were in League One. But that gave us an idea that we went away to one of the better sides, one of the favourites, and didn't lose. And I think something like that, not losing, would be a statement.
Yeah, just getting a result. I just don't want to see us get beaten at the weekend. I think a lot of Southampton fans are looking at it as a little bit of a potential banana skin, really. Actually, there'd be a lot of there'd be a lot of media around this game, won't they? First game in the Championship. It's televised on Sky Sports. The cameras will be there. No doubt the owners will be there as well. So yeah, all eyes are be on this game, won't they?
Yeah, I mean, there's a reason why it's at 12:30 on a Saturday. I think there's a lot of interest around how you guys will regroup and how we will do in Championship. It's when we're in League One, anytime we were on the telly, we got a pretty good viewing figures, and I think that's only going to continue.
Yeah, you'll get that again, no doubt, at the weekend. First and foremost, thank you for coming on. Thank you for giving us an insight into Wrexham. I want to wish you all the very best for the season ahead, other than at the weekend against us. I want to grab a quick score prediction from you before you
go. Look, I'd love us to take a point. I think 1 each. I think we might go ahead, and then you'll regroup and boss it towards the end and get the goal back. But that's still a brilliant result for us.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if it's a draw the weekend. And finally, before you leave us, where can we find you? If you want to keep in touch with Wrexham this season, which many of us will do, all of us have a fan channel, a podcast that we like to listen to, all the clubs in the league that we're in. Where can we find you?
Yeah, it's a Fearless in Devotion. It's an account on X, but it's also on Spotify and YouTube. We do 2 shows a week, one about news, and then we try and interview someone during the week, maybe an ex-player or an expert on a subject, just to vary it a little bit. So yeah, you can find us on YouTube.
I will leave all your details in the show notes below. So anyone wants to go check out Andy and the podcast, please do so by following the links below. Andy, thank you very much for your time today. It's been massive shout out to Andy. Thank you very much for coming on the show. And if you want to find out more about their podcast, all the details are in the show notes below. Right, Southampton team news now, the all-important team news. And then we're going to look at a possible predicted lineup for tomorrow's game. Will Steele, he had a press conference this lunchtime Friday, and he has confirmed that Charlie Taylor is injured, as is Will Smallbone. He's got a calf injury, and James Bree is suffering with the same injury. Taylor Harwood-Bellis is making good progress, that he said. He's training really, really well, but he's not quite ready for the game tomorrow. He went on to confirm that, no shock here, that Tyler Dibbling won't be involved tomorrow. And he did go on to also say that Sam Edozie and Joe Aribo will not play due to their uncertain futures. Flynn Downs, he will be involved, but he might not be available to start. But the good news is, I thought the biggest positive out of the press conference was Matheus Fernandes will be involved for tomorrow's game against Wrexham. And this is what Will Steele had to say on Matheus Fernandes. He said, we have given him a bit of space to think about what he wants. He's missed some training last week due to illness, but he's here and he wants to be involved. He said there are a few players who we know where they're at in their careers and they're making choices. Tyler Dibbling, Sam Edozie, Joe Aribo will not be there versus Wrexham. So for me, you see all of those 3 leaving. There's no doubt about that. Aribo and Edozie, I would not expect them to put our Saints shirt on ever again. Where the concern probably is at right back, because James Bree is injured. So it will probably end up being Yuki Sugawara, or will he tweak things around at the back and maybe play Edwards at right back, which he has done in pre-season. Not a particular fan of that. Right, I'm going to have a little look at what my predicted lineup is, and I want your thoughts in the comments box below. Do you agree with my lineup? It depends on system, I feel, on how he sets up tomorrow. I think the big question mark will be whether Fernandes does start tomorrow or not. I think if he's fit and available, you start him because he's one of your best players. I think it'll be a back four. I've gone with Sugawara at right back because that's his only real options other than playing Ronnie Edwards there, which he could do. I think the two centre-backs will probably be Stevens and Edwards. They're the best two in my opinions, though Joshua Kwasi played there last week. Picked up an injury though. How he didn't get mentioned in the press conference from the main part of the press conference we saw. There's a bit later on for the written press, which gets released at 10:30. Midfield will be interesting. Does Fernandes go in and play alongside Shea Charles, or does Moses Sessé keep his place? I think Sessé is putting a real marker down to become a dead starter in this side. I thought he was brilliant last weekend. It was a great performance from him. I think further up the field, I think it kind of speaks for itself, really. The big question mark, will Adam Armstrong start? I think Jay Robinson, for me, has to start. So I'd had Robinson in. Cameron Archer scored goals in pre-season. I think he'd be important. And I don't see Damien Downs not starting tomorrow. He might not, but I think Damien Downs will start up front. He's the club's biggest signing this summer so far. And there's no doubt he's been a permanent fixture in pre-season. As much as many of you don't rate him, I think Ryan Fraser will start the game in the number 10 position tomorrow. I just don't see him not playing. But that is my predicted lineup. That's depending on system. He could start with the back five that he finished the game with against Brighton Hove Albion last weekend, but that's how I see us setting up in this one. Give me all your thoughts on my predicted lineup below. Right, I'm now joined. He's here. Football Dad is here. Thank you for joining me. Predicted lineup. I was just showing the viewers my predicted lineup. Have I got much wrong, do you think?
No, I don't think you have actually. I mean, I'm not sure Fernandes will start tomorrow, but I hope he does.
If he doesn't start, who comes in?
Sessé, I presume, really.
He was saying in the press conference today that it looks like Downs is not quite fit enough to start,
No,
so it would be there's
right.
not really another option there, is there? Rebo is definitely not involved tomorrow. Adozie not involved. Any thoughts on either of those two not being? Looks like they're both going.
I'm disappointed about Adozie, but he's another one that's never really lived up to his potential, and probably the club never really brought the best out of him, in my opinion. Rebo, he's probably run his course, to be honest with you. But
I'll get your thoughts on Bazunu actually, because we were talking a short while ago off camera about his performance last weekend. He will be number one tomorrow. He will start, won't he? There's no doubt about that. What were your thoughts on his performance?
I thought last Saturday he was really fresh, really impressive. I was impressed with his speed of distribution and his accuracy. Probably his distribution was probably better than Ramsdale's, to be honest.
Yeah.
I think he's been criticised a lot, but the first season was when we had all the Nathan Jones saga and everything, and he was really, really treated badly, I thought, for a young player.
Yeah.
Yeah, he played well when we got relegated until he got injured. So he's come back and it's another chance for him. So yeah, I'm pleased to see him involved.
We want him to do well. I think we both spoke when we walked away from the game last weekend. We both want Bazunu to succeed at Southampton. I really want him to do well.
Yeah. I mean, I think the other bonus is that we could always switch to the five at the back if need be, like we did in the second half last week, with Ronnie Edwards, who looked really impressive, I thought. So
he has to start tomorrow, Edwards, for me. In this side, he has to be in the 11, doesn't he?
I think he does, really.
I just wonder if he plays him instead of Sugawara at right back.
Yeah, possibly.
He plays Kwasi.
Yeah, he could well. I think Kwasi, he took a while to settle and he made one or two errors, but I think he will be a really good player.
They're very direct. From what Andy was saying from Wrexham, that they play a lot of long ball, so they're going to go long. They're going to need physicality. So you are going to need that. I think Edwards. I mean, Stevens is much maligned, and I'm not going to enter that debate really. Kiefer Moore will start tomorrow. New signing for them. Big signing as well, isn't he?
Yeah, and he's a big fella and he's a bit of a handful, but on paper we should do well. I mean, I thought Fraser was good last week, particularly second half when he came on, when he moved to the right, and he looked fit. Everybody looked fitter last week.
Yeah.
That was really noticeable.
Yeah, I've said that a lot, and a lot of shows have been on this week. Right, we want to get some score predictions. So we're going to do that first before we go down memory lane. So get your score predictions in. I've kept saying it throughout the show. Yours for tomorrow. I'm not a massive fan of doing this, but I'm going to have to do one.
Hate doing it.
Yeah.
Well,
I'll do one with my heart and one with my head.
right. Well,
So do your heart first.
oh, we win 2-0.
2-0 win, goal scorers.
Archer and Fraser,
Like it. And with your head?
1-1.
1-0, yeah. I was on TalkSport 2 last night, and the conversation I was having with a Wrexham fan is I kind of felt it ended up being a draw. I'm going to go with the opening day draw with my head. I think it'd probably be a 1-1, potentially 0-0. I don't see where all our goals are coming from, but in my heart, I'll go with a 2-1 victory. I think they will score tomorrow.
I think that is a worrying thing about where the goals are going to come from.
Yeah, can Downs get off to a good start? Damien Downs up front. He's going to be wearing the number 41 shirt. Southampton have announced their squad numbers, and the squad numbers that are used in the predicted lineup today are the squad numbers for the season ahead.
He's going to have to be given service. They've got to get crosses in. Simple as that.
Yeah, they do. Right, let's come on to memories of Wrexham. I did say we were going to talk about this on the show today. Memory of Southampton versus Wrexham? There's not loads, is there? Because we've made it for a long time.
No, but I thought I did right back to something which was a game that was almost a changing point of the season and the club's history. So we're going back to the February the 16th, 1974, FA Cup round 5.
Okay.
Now that season, the season 73-74, Ted Bates, who'd been the manager for 30 odd years, brought in Laurie McMenemy as his the manager designate, which is a term I've never heard before, never heard since. And they were going very well at Christmas. They were sort of 5th or 6th in the table, winning more games than they were losing. The Wrexham game, everything started to come to bits from that point. We lost 1-0. The goal scorer was Dave Smallman, who went on to play for Everton. And after that game, we only won 3 games for the rest of the season, drew 4.
Sounds familiar.
And got relegated.
Oh, jeez.
That's
quite the story.
We were the first team in history to go down with 3 relegated.
Yeah.
And even though we won, I think it was 3-1 or 3-0 at Everton at the end of the season, we still went down. I mean, they brought Peter Osgood in to try and get some goals. They changed things around. It was a real transitional period at the club, and it went badly wrong, really. And it put us down to the 2nd division. We were down there for quite a while.
Yeah.
And obviously they rebuilt. Laurie luckily kept his job, and he started weaving his magic, bringing in players that were a little bit past their sell-by date, if you like, but bringing them back to life. So I think that's the most significant game. We played Wrexham, actually.
Yeah, no, it's an interesting one, actually. It's a big one. Do you remember the League Cup game?
Not really. No, I know Trevor Hebbard was involved and scored, and Austin Hayes as well. Poor Austin Hayes, who was such a young man when he died. Hebbard was a good player, but I don't really remember that well. No, it's just every time. There's only 2 memories I have of Wrexham, really, and that was this cup match and the fact that when they played Arsenal in the FA Cup and beat them at the racecourse, the kit was manufactured by a company, NS, which was owned by a friend of mine. And I've always kind of sort of remembered that because, he was a good guy and Wrexham turned Arsenal over. Yeah. Mickey Thomas scored, actually.
Good memory, good memory. I saw Martin Tyler on the Saints show, the Early Doors show, and you've got a memory a bit like Martin Tyler.
He's much older than me,
yeah,
Martin.
A lot older than you, a lot older. Really appreciate you coming on. That was Football Dad.
Thank you.
This was the pre-match show. Saints Wrexham tomorrow. If you're there and you're passing and you see us, make sure you do say hello. Get your predictions in the comments box below. Loads more content coming over the weekend from the FootballMartin channel. There'll be a full match day vlog tomorrow, instant reaction video within about 30 minutes of the final whistle with all my thoughts of the game, and there'll be the fan cam, which is back tomorrow on the channel. Stay tuned to the channel. Make sure you're subscribed and have a great weekend.